Okay, so welcome everybody. We're so grateful to have you all here to share some time with the Tewa Women United, some of our staff, and especially because today is Earth Day. And you know, we're all here coming from our homes or wherever we're staying and practicing physical distance, but social solidarity as a way to keep safe. But it feels even more important to be able to connect in ways like this. So just again, thank you for coming and sharing some time with us this afternoon. And so during this call, so for the first like 20, 25 minutes of it, Elder Kathy and Corrine and Nathana will be sharing reflections about what does beloved community and what does collective care look like during these times that we're living through? And even, you know, is there potential and is there a gift in this time? So really looking forward to their sharings on that. And then after their reflections, we'll have around 10 minutes or so if folks have any comments or questions that you'd like to share. And then we're going to try to end somewhere between 5:15 and 5:20 Mountain Time. There's another really wonderful virtual event that our friends at Earth Care are starting at 5:30. So we wanted to make sure there was time if people wanted to go to that as well. So that's the outline of our call. And so with that, I just wanted to introduce Elder Kathy Sanchez, who's one of the co-founders of Tewa Women United and the program manager for the Environmental Justice Program. Dr. Corrine Sanchez, who's the executive director of Tewa Women United. And then Nathana, who will pop up here in a second, who is the associate director. So these three wonderful women will be just, you know, sharing from the heart about what this time holds for us and what this, just to offer a beginning question, if you all want to start here, you know, with everything that's going on right now with COVID-19 and the situation around it, just from a Tewa perspective, you know, what do you see as happening now, and what does beloved community and collective care, what does that look like these days?
Okay, so I would like to start by framing it from the dream model, in that our ancestors dreamt about us and dreamt of the visioning of how we would be in a beloved community, how we would be living our lives. And so I would like to start from that point of seeing where we're about from now 100 years into the future. So standing at that 100-year point, looking back. So standing at 100 years from now, I see a lot of children splashing in the water, women preparing the meals and laughing and joking, and then taking the bread out of our hornos, our outside ovens, our pantes, and then how the men are also there supporting with the wood, supporting with bringing in the harvest and saying, oh, we want to eat corn today. Okay, I'll go down to the. So with those activities being visible and looking back to the present now, it's that sign of the hopefulness that we survived these past generations, survived when the first invasions came, and those that came as colonizers came into the land. They did bring diseases. They did bring their way of thinking that was counter to what we do and seeing in a beloved community. So from that standpoint of survival, yes, the hope is there. The vision is there to still continue. And what are we doing now today that has sparked us into having the visions for beloved communities? So from that standpoint, you know, a nice loud shout out that we did start our gatherings for Mother Earth, because we knew that contamination was happening. We knew we had to still love and thanks and praise for Mother Earth, because she is suffering. Things are happening. She suffers and we suffer. Her well. So this COVID time now is that we remember, even as we're in this,
Well, Kathy, your sound dropped out. You know,
Technology.
I know. The
from a
sound is
rural community.
the sound is breaking up a little bit when you're speaking, like every minute or so. And I'm wondering, although I don't like to recommend this because it's so great to see you, it may actually be good if you turn the camera off, because then there'll be more bandwidth for your voice. So just for the period of time that you're speaking, let's try that, because it's, I think, really important for people to hear your words without the breaking up every minute. So
Okay.
if you two turn your camera off, and then we'll listen to you.
All right, I turned the camera off. Can you hear us?
Yes,
Can you?
sounds
All
good.
right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so being a senior and elder, going back to retract what I just said is not that great. So start by saying that one of the story events of having the future, looking back to now, is that we honoring Mother Earth. We did create our gathering from Mother Earth, and we're the future.
Elder Kathy, I'm sorry to say this to you, but it's still not good. We're going to try something else here. So I'm going to ask everybody else to turn your cameras off, because sometimes it's across the whole spectrum. So if everybody else could turn video off, stop the video, we will give this a try. And my apologies for having you do this yet again. Okay, so let's see if that makes it any better. Go ahead, Elder Kathy. Let's see. Corrine and Kathy, can you say something? Because I'm not hearing you. Sorry, everybody, for the technical challenges here. Corrine and Kathy, can you say something, please? Yeah, I'm going to ask you two to call back in because something's a little wonky here. So if everybody could just hang tight, and we'll see if Corrine and Elder Kathy can call us in again, and we'll see if that works. Okay. So while they're doing that, actually, Nathana, I wonder if you would like to share anything while we're waiting for Corrine and Kathy to call back in. And let's see, you're on mute right now.
Hello, can you hear
Hi
me?
there. Yeah, go ahead. And you can also try turning your camera on because yours might be good.
Okay,
Great.
can you still hear me?
Yes.
We're back. Sorry, we don't know what happened.
Okay.
Perfect, cool. I
Go
will
ahead.
let Kathy finish.
Finished my piece and I said, I'm turning it over to Nathana because we still see honors of children dancing, playing, and how did we put our what we're doing now reflected into the future of our Ogden program, our healthy body sovereignty. And so that's a plus in that we did implement that way before COVID came in, and how it's helping us now with our young peoples.
Thank you, Kathy. And so I think for myself, and reflecting on the work that we're doing, and also on just how we're navigating through this space right now, at this point in our lives, this is something that growing up, I had never anticipated or thought that this is something we would be going through. And then also thinking from my daughter's perspective and my kids' perspective, that this is definitely a time that they're going to remember. And how are we building on this time to ensure that we're also creating those beloved communities within our homes now that we're spending more time together. And so I think for myself, as a mother and also as a person that does my best to center young people and to work with young people and provide opportunities for young people, I am hoping that I am doing a good job to leave behind those sort of narratives or help to build narratives that are shaping our young people for a better future. I think for me right now, there's a lot of things that how beloved community is being displayed in our community, and then also in other communities, and also nationwide and internationally. For me, I think there's a lot that comes to mind when Kathy talked about really looking back on the history and looking back on ourselves 100 years from now. That's an important perspective to begin each day with, I believe. And I think for one thing, after thinking about doing this call and kind of sitting with my own thoughts, a lot of it was around remembering who I am, and also remembering the lineage and journey that our ancestors have gone through, along with our parents and grandparents. And knowing that some of our grandparents understand and have had this same experience as they grew up in the early days of America forming through a Western perspective. And so knowing that for generations and years, our people, the indigenous folks of this land, throughout Tewa territory and throughout the whole northern North America region, and throughout the whole Western hemisphere, I guess you could say, we have experienced these things. We have experienced different forms of pandemics and sicknesses and illnesses that have come into our communities. And for me, I think one thing that, being that today is Earth Day, is also that I was given a specific name in my community for a reason, and knowing that that traditional name that I was given speaks to who I am, and also my own responsibility and role in the community, and knowing that those types of teachings that are innate to who we are, innate to our people, play a big role in becoming who we are, and also how we move through the earth. And so for me, I think working with young people is knowing that is helping them to uncover and also understand the importance of our traditional ways of life and our traditional knowledges that sometimes we take for granted when we're younger, because we're trying to navigate through these worlds. And for me, I think that's something as I gotten older as a person, is understanding that my traditional knowledge and the sharings that I've learned along the way are important and they're valid in my life, and that I should probably take them into consideration more than I do. And for me, that has been something that I think going through this process is also knowing that elders have a lot to share. And as young people, we don't really give them the credit or the space to do that. I think there are some of us that are moving to that place of creating the space and also returning to that knowledge. We usually have a summer program where we integrate some of the teachings that our cultural leaders and community leaders bring to us. But this year we've decided not to have that because of the situation that we're in. We're trying to figure out ways that we could still convey the messages and the teachings virtually. And so I think this is definitely a new shift for us because the human interaction isn't there as it is before. But I know that we can't let that stop us. And I know that we're resilient and we're knowledgeable in creating spaces and ways for us to still convey those messages and teachings. And I've seen a whole variation of sharing of knowledges over the time maybe over the last few months. And so it's really been amazing to see communities sharing with each other how to do herbal medicine, how to sew, storytelling. There's been numerous ways that our community have stepped up in different ways and utilized the resources and tools that they have to create those spaces to share the knowledge with each other. And so for me, that has been, I think, one way that we have really displayed collective care. And it's also understanding that we're doing as much as we need to right now. Some of us can move in and some of us move out. Kathy talks about the web of life. And for me, I think that's one way to look at this whole situation, is that each of us is those pillars she talks about, and how we're holding ourselves in that way. It can shift and move, and there's the fluidity that we have with each other. And so when I'm not able to step up and be fully present, and I need my own self-care, then somebody else can come in and hold that stability for me or for the community, in order for me to be well and move forward and move backwards. And so I think like just those teachings of understanding the role that you play within community is crucial right now. And for me, it's definitely been helpful in checking in with my community and checking in with my family and sharing spaces and knowledge with each other virtually. And it's a whole new thing. For family, we now have a group text, and we're texting more than ever just to really check in with each other. Where there was times where maybe we didn't even text for like a whole couple of days, and now it's like every night or every morning is just checking in with each other just to make sure everybody's doing okay. And I think even with Tewa Women United, we love seeing each other in the offices, and now anytime that we see each other on virtual spaces, it's such a blessing to be able to share space with each other and be in community and sharing with each other and catching up. And it's not always just business as usual. There's definitely that time and space for a check-in and really ensuring that each of us is well and taken care of. And so I think another one that has really come up for me is understanding the privilege that I have to still have a job and still be able to provide food for my family and have a house, and also have the opportunity and ability to be on this Zoom call and be able to have access to internet. I think there is definitely gaps in our systems, and there's definitely inequalities that are displaying themselves as we are going through this time. And so for me, it's definitely a privilege to be able to be with you all, and also not be going through a lot of the stuff that all of our other brothers and sisters may be going through. And for me, that is definitely a humbling experience. And I have no words to really kind of explain or kind of talk about how that may be, because I'm not in that experience. And for me, it's definitely something that is heartbreaking. And I just hope that when through this whole process, that as a nation, we really try to figure out how we can provide for our people and not have the suffering that we do have, and that we're able to really provide the resources that we need to those that need it most. I think for myself, it's definitely been a lot around trying to do my best and provide what I can to those that need it most. And so I think a lot of it around like creating the donation care packages, also donating monetarily to those that the communities that are most impacted is super important right now. So if you're able to donate to any of the organizations that are creating these funds, I would definitely encourage you to do that as well. And because I mean, we can't be in community, and we can't be not in community in person, but we definitely can show community by providing to those that need it most. And so for me, I definitely have learned a lot about my own experience and how I'm showing up, or how I'm trying to teach my daughter to really have those values around helping other people and not just ourselves, but thinking about other people that are not just in our home, but also those that are in our community that may need that support. And part of me is like, I can only do so much, but I also want to show up in my community and ensure that we're all kind of building together and also sharing resources and knowledge that we can. For me, one personal thing that I did was I created a Facebook group for our community in Okeawinge here in northern New Mexico, for tribal community members to really share information and knowledge and wellness and care and love with each other virtually. And so the first 2 days that I created the group, it grew like by 200 people, and it was just amazing to see that this is something that is needed and it needs to be continued even after this is over. So I'm really hoping that a lot of the love and the work and resources that are being provided right now don't stop as this comes to a halt or continues to linger throughout our community. I really hope that a lot of the support and building of community and returning to the humanity of who we are continues after this all comes to whatever it comes to. And so that's kind of pretty much all the reflections I have for right now. And I'll pass it to Corrine. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nathana. Corrine, I'll go ahead and, oh, you did it. You unmuted yourself. Yeah, I would love to hear more from you and Kathy.
All right. So this is a really humbling experience that we're in. I think it's a place for us to really take in the words that Nathana has shared with us and that my mother has shared, that we continue to look to the past and those lessons that carrying that strength, that spiritual connection, grounding. This day, I'm not honoring your mother and all the gifts that she provides and how she has continued to provide us with that connection across this globe, across the world, across her body. The energy and breath that we share with communities. And I think that's the recognition that in this time of COVID-19 that we really see how that web of life connects us to this country, but also countries that are connected to throughout the world. And our work there, and I'm going to turn on video again. Around, around prayer and I want to say that this earlier today we were in a group trying to think of messaging that was like Anna mentioned, we're showing to one another. And even though we may be in silent meditation, even though we may be in prayer by ourselves in the morning and the beings that exist and those that have gone before, and that connection continues to be and live. And I think that in that session, you know, as we're trying to talk to people, our community members to really understand what it means to have that physical distancing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's it like every minute or so it starts to get kind of wonky, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. We're on the res, and so internet is not all that great. But what she said is that, you know, my heart speaks to your heart, no matter how far the distance that we find ourselves. And what Nathana mentioned in her talk a little bit in her sharing and reflection is that sometimes even close distance isn't very powerful. And so how do we continue to practice this recognition of that connection that we have deeply to one another and hold accountable systems and grounded in love and spirituality and connection. And there's also a side of me that is so outraged at what is happening and what we've known and what we've been working hard to uproot is this culture of violence that my mom talks about. And the inequities, the inequalities that exist, the racism, the systemic oppressions, and that's coming, from one of the highest places of leadership in this country. And so then how are we in our communities sharing what Nathana shared? How are we showing our youth, our young people in this moment, what it means to be what it means to have empathy, what it means to bring forward our voices in a powerful collective to challenge these things that are continuing to harm people, those that tend the land, those that have cared for Mother Earth are the ones that we are most dependent on to provide healing in our communities. And so I hope at this moment that we reflect on those, that no role in our community is of lesser value, that we have a place and responsibility to uphold what Nathana said, our humanity, our connection, our collective for one another, power. And so shared moment that I feel now that everyone is experiencing, not just certain groups, but everyone, that we harnessed from that experience, the ways that we can transform the future that we want to, as we come out of our darkness, our emergence, in our emergence stories, we come from below up to the light. And so in this emerging COVID-19, that we're taking it all in our spirit, and that we are going to choose to act differently towards one another, that we're going to choose in to change hearts and to change behaviors that have continued to threaten our Na'ochokuyo and also ourselves, our women, our children. So how we what has been my whole being has been trying to be like, how do we take that experience and transform it into something beautiful and something powerful, and not let that pain and hurt and all of that consume us. And so I feel like that's what we need to be focusing our energy on, and our vision and our hopes and our prayers in maintaining our humanity.
Thank you, Corrine. We lost some of your words there, so I feel like we need to maybe figure out a way to, I don't know, we'll do a recording of you separately, because I feel like what you said was so important that we need to make sure we can get all of those words. But I feel like the essence of it and your heart came through to everybody.
And I want to say that we're very blessed to have all of you and that connection to our web, because each of you has played a part in our growth as Tewa Women United, and each of you has shown us your authenticity and how you're serving the community, right? We are in great company among peoples, and feel really blessed, like Nathana said, that we have to continue to be working, that we have this privilege of the relational-tivity that we've built over the years. And it's all reflected on this Zoom call, and that connections that continue to for all of your energy and your prayers and your donations and the ways that you show up for our community every day.
Great. Thank you.
I'm holding my nose because I'm crying.
Thank you so much, all three of you, for sharing your heart mind with everybody who's on this call. I did just want to take a second here because I feel like one of the questions that's come in a number of times is about people wanting to help and wondering, what are some ways to do that? So I just wanted to, hopefully this will work, share my screen with all of you, because we set up a list on the Tewa Women United website. And so you can go there to www.tewawomenunited.org. But I just wanted to give you a screenshot so you could see some of the groups, the relief funds that we are raising up so that you know about them. I mean, Tewa Women United right now is actually in okay shape. So we're encouraging people, if you have money to donate, to actually send it to places that are doing some very critical relief work. So if you can see my screen, that's actually from the website. So that's the list that we have right now. So the top two funds are right here in the Pueblo and tribal communities of northern New Mexico and the Southwest region. And then there's a number of others that are distributing nationally and internationally. So Pueblo Relief Fund is the one that I think probably we're raising up the most right now, because that's an initiative started by the All Pueblo Council of Governors and the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. But you can take time afterwards to go visit our website and be able to see all of those, and each link goes so you can make a donation to any one of those that speaks to you. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the share. And again, just know you can reach it at the homepage to our website has a link to this page. And then I just wanted we have about maybe 5-10 minutes left. So if, folks who are on the call, I think there's about 45 of you on here right now, which is really great to have you with us. But if anybody would like to offer, a comment, or if you have a question, we would love to hear your voices as well. So if you'd like to do that, what you can do is unmute yourself using that the microphone icon that's down on the bottom left corner. And when you speak up, just make sure that you share your name so we can hear who you are, and then let us know what you're thinking.
I wanted to say that I read Barbara's comment around, we need to, this is a moment as Indigenous people, and I think that is so true around responsibility for each other, or akking, around respecting each other, and all that means. And I know in our Pueblo communities, there's definitely been a lot of talk around messages and calling all that forward as our strength to get us through this time.
Great, thank you, Corrine. Yeah, so if there's anybody who would like to unmute yourself and share a comment or a question, we'd be happy to hear your voice. Or you can just type it in the chat box. That's another way to do that as well, if you'd rather just type something in there. And I'll keep an eye on it and let people know what you're sharing. Okay.
Hi, this is Lisa Pelletier. Hi.
Hi, Lisa. Go ahead.
Well, I don't have a lot to say. I just want to thank you guys for putting this together, whoever is responsible. Obviously, we all are, because we're all here together, and it just means a lot to me. and I couldn't hear a lot of what folks were saying, but it's very interesting. I could feel the wonderful heart energy from Corrine, and I could hear and feel this very stable, proactive energy coming from Nathana, and could feel and just appreciate the spiritual blessings from Elder Kathy. And I've been isolating, as much as I can, and doing a lot of energy and spiritual work over the phone through Uber conference, and that's wonderful. But it's not very heart-centered, I guess I would say. It's more, I'm helping people intuitively, spiritually, and so it just means so much to me to be a part of this phone call, because it's such a great community feeling, I guess. And I'll be happy to join if you do any others, or if you disperse or distribute any of the comments that folks were making that we couldn't quite hear. I would love to read them, or anyway, so thank you so much. And just, looking for ways to, I'm helping in ways with the world crisis in like the ways I described, but sometimes it feels like I'm not helping because, we don't have that person-to-person connection, and I'm not like physically with people taking care of business. But I am visiting my family, with the 6 feet apart and all that, every now and then. And so thank you so much, everybody, and I'll sign off.
Thank you, Lisa. We really appreciate that.
Can I say that, I really appreciate Lisa's work over the years with us, and we were trying to explain like that social distancing, right? The physical distancing, but it doesn't necessarily mean an energy or spiritual distancing. And so I think that is so important for you all that are in that meditation practice, prayer practice, all of those feed the collective so powerfully. And when my brother was ill, I knew that we could see the power of prayer. We could see the power of meditation and how that helps. And so, when you're asking how to help and the relief, I'm like, just continue to keep our communities, the Dene Nation, San Felipe Pueblo, Zia Pueblo, all those across the world that are in pain and suffering, and send that energy out, whether that's daily, hourly, at the nighttime, because they feel it. It is reaching them, and we know the power of prayer and what that means, and the power of that energy, that positivity going out. So don't doubt that, even that our single practice, we talk about Tai Chi and collective community Tai Chi, that we're in practice alone, but we practice alone so that when we come together, then you can see that collective resonance and that collective power. And so, Lisa, thank you for your gifts, and all others that are out there that are doing trauma work, and understand, how they're trying to address this. I keep thinking that this is going to shift and change the way we do our work, because, trauma and therapists, in our communities were certain hours, certain days, and now we're seeing like telemedicine, and how now maybe families that couldn't access it, we're going to make shifts the way that they can now, or maybe around telemedicine, because we've had to have this experience. And so I think that might be a powerful thing that comes from this particular experience.
Thank you, Corrine. I'm happy to say that we heard every word that you said. For some reason, there was like a band of clarity. So it was great to hear your voice come through strong and clear and all that. I think we have time for maybe one more person. If one more person would like to unmute yourselves and just share a short reflection, or if you have a question. And If not, we can move toward closure. I also see a few comments from people in the chat area, so I'm not going to read them all, but just really grateful to every one of you for being here and for sharing your voice and your heart in this call. And so, Kathy and Corrine and Nathana, I wonder if any one of you or all three of you would like to just do something to close our call and to offer a blessing for us going out back into the world from this call.
I think for me, my blessings go out to the helpers, providers, and I know we talk about collective trauma and what it does, but then we also on this call are talking about collective care. And so I thank everybody for being in that many different levels of existence and collectively moving our positive, loving light and love in forms of reciprocity. What we give, we receive in terms of mindfulness, heartfulness, light energy, and all that is needed because COVID itself is a virus that feeds, it's a parasitical. And so we want to make sure that our bodies have the light and love that is the buffer and doesn't allow those to have a place to settle into. And I really would encourage everyone to read some of the writings that are coming out from people that are suffering at this time, because they are sharing what really comforted them and what their needs were. And that makes us hopeful in that all the ways that we can do doesn't have to be major, but even just having water in thermoses for them because they need to quench that, and that loving light and song and prayer and that higher vibrational levels also is very helpful. And they're so very appreciative, and protecting our most vulnerable takes many different forms. And I just want to have collective care and love for the providers as well, because they need that in form of recharging and releasing as well. So very dear to our cultural values and beliefs. Keep those in that strong place for your wellness. Good, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That feels like a really beautiful place to end. So there will be a recording of this that we can send you and you can share with folks. And we just wish you all safety, and may you and your loved ones stay healthy. And we love you all. All right. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love you.
Uh,